What's up guys, it's your boy Abdullah here. I'm coming at you guys with a brand new video. I know it's been a long time, but I was away on vacation, but we're back now, ready to churn out the content. Before we get into the video, I want to give a huge shout out to all our patrons, all our subscribers, everybody who comments down, everybody who's in our Discord, on our Facebook page. All those links are there. And for this video as well, guys, I want to give a huge shout out to our sponsor, Carta Magica. Guys, if you wonder how we get all these icy cards on release, it's because of Carta Magica. Check them out, guys. Cheapest prices for singles, cheapest prices for boxes. It's just the best store. It's my locals. Guys, it's insane. We get like 50 people out to a local. How much do we have for Sneak? Like 91 players? 92 players, never lost, unstoppable, untouchable. Shout out to Ottawa. So I was gone for a week, right? And Dark Neostorm released. And there's this new card that I've been seeing everybody on YouTube going crazy over. Mystic Mine, Mythic Mine, Spell Mining Cave. The way you guys get salty over it should be called Salt Mining Cave. Now this is a video that we're going to talk about how to beat this card. And beating this card isn't just with one card, like, oh, you draw X and you out it. It's from a philosophy change and how people are building their decks and what people are doing. And what I mean by that, guys, is that people have moved away from playing back row removal in the main deck. During Draco format, you can see everybody's playing triple Cosmic Cyclone in the main deck. It was a very powerful card because it could just get rid of a back row, but not destroy it, so not trigger Pendulum Scales, not trigger your Draco spells and traps, and it was just super powerful for that. When was the last time a meta deck was playing back row removal in the main deck? I'll tell you when. Sky Striker. That was a deck that played triple Twin Twister in main, and it was just very powerful for the Striker player to play the card, and it was just like, it was a blowout when they resolved against a lot of these back row decks. But other decks don't play it. Like Thunder Dragon is one of the greediest decks in the game, and Thunder doesn't play back row removal because it can't. The way the Second's Light deck is really built is it can't play things like that. But see, back row removal has really transitioned to monster based. Everybody relies on Nightmare Phoenix and Nightmare Unicorn to out back row. Nobody really worries about playing the twins in main or the MSTs in main. That's all moved on to the side deck. And speaking on that, people are playing cards like Dino Wrestle Pankratops, which does absolutely nothing to this Mystic Mine, Mythic Mine card. Before I get into it, let me actually read this card. It says, if your opponent controls more monsters than you do, your opponent cannot activate monster effects or declare an attack. If you control more monsters than your opponent does, you cannot activate monster effects or declare an attack. Once per turn during the end phase, if both players control the same number of monsters, to destroy this card. It's a floodgate in one of the worst ways. This card is cancer. This card is $7. Don't spend $7 on the super rare, guys. Don't do that. Why is this card $7? Anyways, so right now, I want to get into some cards that I think like counter Mystic Mine, but are also, and I will talk about how you build your deck to beat this deck. So one of the best cards for Mystic Mine is, of course, Denko Sekka. You just normal Denko, like, this is a chain burn deck. It's a burn-based strategy, and you just normal summon Denko into 4 back row and you don't even care. The thing with Mystic Mine is that it's a card that doesn't kill you in one turn. It's a deck that doesn't kill you in one turn. Like, if they open the optimal chain burn hand, where they just, like, go Mystic Mine, like, set, like, Ojama Trio, Just Desserts, Trap Trick, and whatever else it is, like, you lose. But yeah, but if they open 5 pieces of Exodia, you're going to lose anyway, too. So don't get too salty over that. Denko Sekka is a card that not only shuts off, like, the Mystic Mine deck, because when they go first, they have to set, like, Demise of the Land or a Metaverse to get to their Mystic Mine. You normal summon the Denko, and their whole back row is turned off, which means you're not dying anytime soon. And they can't kill your Denko either, so you just kind of sit there until you draw the rest of your back row, which is the greatest thing about playing against this Mystic Mine deck, is that they don't kill you in one turn. And if you open the Denko Sekka, you're just going to draw the rest of your cards. You'll draw that Twin Twister to out their back row. And then they're just sitting there and watching you destroy them. Speaking of Twin Twisters, it's another great card that can be played in the main deck to stop decks like Mystic Mine. Like, if you resolve the Twin, you're probably going to win the game. And I understand that, oh, they have Dark Bribe. But if they open, like, Dark Bribe, Burn cards, and Mystic Mine, you weren't going to win that game anyway. And if you resolve the Twin, you're going to win. Like, and wow, that rhymed. If you resolve Twin, you're going to win. When moving on from Twin Twisters, we also have cards like Mystical Space Typhoon, Cosmic Cyclone, Heavy Storm Duster, and the like. The thing is, every one of these cards has some pros and cons. The thing with Twin Twister is the fastest of these cards, in that it's a quick play spell, discard 1, pop 2, removes the most. MST also works. It's a 1-for-1, but you don't have to pay any life for it. You have to discard anything. And then Cosmic Cyclone, of course, is the 1,000 life payment, but it also banishes a card, which means it has applications against other decks. And then Storm Duster is a +1, however, it's a slow card. But against a deck like Mystic Mine, Storm Duster is super viable because they're not going to kill you in one turn. And then the final card that you can play for Mystic Mine, it's not the final, there's more. We have a bunch of other options here, guys. You can play some crazy stuff like Closed Forest, which basically says that your opponent can activate spell card, or your opponent can activate field spells. And if the The turn that Closed Forest is destroyed, no other field spells can be activated. So that's also a lockout. So you could play something like Set Rotation, give them Closed Forest, give them something like Oracle of Zephyr or Gateway to Chaos, something they can't activate, and then they just lose the game because they can't play through Mystic Mind, and now you're just playing against bad Chain Burn. Even like the Chain Burn elements, like you could play cards like Jinzo, which just stops that deck from ever existing. Like you just tribute summon Jinzo, and it's like, yeah, Mystic Mind locks you up, but the back row is not going to burn you. And if they're not going to burn you, it means that you're going to draw into your side deck cards. That's the big thing. Mystic Mind lets you draw into your side deck cards. If you see Denko or you see a card like Jinzo, we were playing Jinzo in Pendulums at one point, where you were like pen summon out the Jinzo and like you just lock out the Paleo player. Like you could play Jinzo, Royal Decree's a card you could play as well. You could play cards like we talk about separate. You can play like Black Garden. You know what? Your opponent wants to be whack and set up this Mystic Mind lock. You're gonna give them a monster and they're gonna like it. You can Black Garden. You can give them Silent Wabi, as I think the name of the card, special summon Silent Wabi to your opponent's side of the field. Cards you can do, things like that. I've seen people play Prohibition and call Mystic Mind. And listen, realistically, right? Prohibition isn't that great of a card. But if you go Prohibition and you call Mystic Mind, what are they going to do? They lose. Now they're playing bad Chain Burn. So it's like great. It's like when you Reaper like Spirals during Spiral format, you Reaper the Helix, and now they got to play a tier 5 deck. Same thing. I activate Prohibition, call Mystic Mind. What do? Lose. You scoop your cards up. And then, of course, Curse Seal, the Forbidden Spell. This is a little bit spicier. But if you resolve Curse Seal on the Mystic Mind activation, you just win the game. Again, if they don't have Mystic Mind, they can't win because they're just playing a slow Chain Burn deck. So the big thing about Mystic Mind, and most of these cards that we've talked about are side deck cards. And that's only because of the way the game has really developed. We're not relying on these backward removal cards because, you know what, it's not that efficient against Salamangreat. Activating Twin Twister, pitch 1 is usually just getting negated by the Salamangreat Roar. And against other decks, like, it's just not relevant. Like against Thunder Dragons, Twin Twister is a dead card. But I think that the current format is in a place where you can main deck Twin Twisters in a lot of these decks. You can main it in Sky Striker, you can main it in decks like Salamangreat, in decks like even Orcus, you can play that card. It's probably useful, discarding your Danger monsters, discarding your Orcus monsters, being able to trigger them. And even against these decks, it's super good because now Orcus is, setting like 2 negates or setting like a counter trap, and like even if they don't go for the counter trap, usually they go for the field spell. You go Twin Twister, pop the field spell, pop a back row, snipe a Fog Blade out of it. So Twin Twister has applications against that deck. Against Sky Striker, of course, you just twin the multi-roll, twin whatever they do. And Sky Striker is a deck that's playing Mystic Mind too, which is what I would really be worried about. You go Twin Twisters, hit the Mystic Mind, hit the multi-roll, you're fine. Salamangreats, yeah, it kind of sucks, but if they don't have the Roar, like, you're fine again. And again, like I was saying with Mystic Mind, you have the chance to draw these cards. Because the deck isn't going to kill you instantly, you have a chance to draw into these cards. So when you play a card like Denko Sekka, Denko might not turn off Mystic Mind, but that's not the point. Denko is there for you to draw your outs to Mystic Mind. Now, speaking of cards that like out Mystic Mind, like Gate Blocker, listen, I told you guys about Gate Blocker, I don't know how many months ago. That card is 15 cents, it's $12 now. If you guys listen, chillin'. This isn't about telling you I was right. This is about telling you guys, the card does something. It also stops Endymion. And that's another thing. One of the newest decks that just came out is Endymion, and they're a deck that inherently play an out to Mystic Mind. And that's the Sorcerer Supreme, or the Mighty Magician of Magic, whatever the hell his name is. His scale effect is a spell effect. So when it resolves, when he brings himself out, he blows up the field. Mystic Mind doesn't stop that. It really is the Sekka's Light builds that are hurt the most by Mystic Mind, but they can side into these other cards that we talked about. They can side into Denko Sekka. Normal summon Denko Sekka, turn off your back row, and then I'll just draw into my outs to get rid of your Mystic Mind through your dangers and the like. You can't activate dangers like Mystic Mind, whatever. Normal summon Denko, just stall it out until you draw your out. Gate Blocker, normal summon Gate Blocker, turn off Mystic Mind, now you OTK them. Honestly, I'm liking that more and more the more I think about it. Salamangreat is a deck that can main deck Twin Twisters. We already talked about that. Sky Striker is already maining twins. Like, this is, guys, Mystic Mind is the boogeyman. This is a deck that everybody's scared of and thinks, oh, if they open the nuts, you lose. Well, isn't that any deck right now? If they open the nuts, you lose if you don't have a response to it. So it's just another deck. It's something that we have to deal with, and like, there's a lot of decks in the current metagame that can play cards to out Mystic Mind. I wouldn't be worried about Mystic Mind Chain Burn. I'd be worried about Mystic Mind Sky Striker, which is probably the best variant of that deck. So as we were talking about it, people have gotten a lot lazier or greedier with their decks, and they're not choosing to play backer removal, instead of opting for monster-based backer removal like Pancratops and the like. And because of this over-reliance on that has made Mystic Mind a lot more powerful than it is. So going into a bigger event, people are going to be playing Mystic Mind, and you're going to be dealing with like all these Sekka's decks, and you can just shut them out because of that card. But if you side deck efficiently, you should win your game 2 and you should win your game 3 because you're playing cards that if you draw and resolve, you will win. I understand that Mystic Mine has to have the answer, and I understand that Mystic Mine might have Dark Bribe, and you might have to draw into your outs. But again, guys, if you normal Denko, you normal Gate Blocker, they can't kill you, which means you have your time to kill them. I just think it's a deck that people have hyped up for God knows what reason. It's an easy deck to play for sure, and there's been crazy buyouts on it, but I don't think it's really a deck that we have to worry about, because once you guys start playing against decks like that, you'll realize that you can win. Even if just passing against Mystic Mine, you're fine. If you see your opponent set 5, you assume it's Mystic Mine, you just pass your turn, their Mystic Mine's turned off, whatever, what are they going to do to you? Like, yeah, they have to have a Jama Trio. Again, they have to have it. The same way you have to have your back row. But they don't have the same, like, if you're playing Danger Thunder and you're playing against Mystic Mine and you've drawn into your Twin Twisters, whatever, you can hold it. Because the thing is, at any moment, if you get that Mystic Mine turned off, they're dead. You kill them. But the same isn't true for you. If you pass a turn against Mystic Mine, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're dead. I just think that for whatever reason, guys have gassed up this card for I don't know what. Maybe they've held on to a lot of these cards and they're trying to sell them and make their money off of it. But really, guys, we just wanted to talk about how to deal with this card. And most of it will be coming from your side deck, if I'm being brutally honest. But if you want to get ahead on the metagame, you can main deck Twin Twisters or Cosmic Cyclone or Heavy Storm Duster in the main and see how much of an impact they have, because realistically, it's only bad against Danger Thunder. So you take the chance of, okay, it's bad against one deck in the meta, and I'm planning for these other 5 decks as well. Like, 5 out of 6 is pretty good. I'm pretty sure that's still an A. I don't know if that's the math, but it's still pretty good. And having that coverage and being able to easily side out against other decks is still fantastic. So that's something that I would really look at, like main decking, it's just that simple. You main deck Twin Twisters, you draw your out, you win. And not just that, if you win the die roll against a lot of these decks and you get to set up your negates, or you get to set up like your back row removal, like Summon Great Rage and the like, how does that deck beat you? It doesn't. You just pop that stuff and you win. So it's like a 50-50 where if you win the die roll, you win. But if you also draw your side deck cards, you also win. So it's a lot better than 50-50. And with that said, it's a deck that I think people are gassing up way too much. People are like, oh, this deck is like Rongo. It's not like Rongo, man. Come on. Rongo wasn't even that much of a problem if you knew what you were doing. Like, how many tops did Rongo have? Not a lot. How many tops is Mystic Mine going to get? Not a lot. And I bet that on everything. The deck is a deck it's like a noob stomp deck. If you're not prepared for it, you're going to lose to it. But if you're prepared for Mystic Mine, you will not lose to this deck. That's all for this video, guys. We try to keep it real short just to show you guys that this card is not a problem. We'll show you tons of replays of us beating this deck. Like, it's not an issue, guys. If you want more information on how to beat Mystic Mine, guys, make sure you leave comments down below. Give us a like, give us a subscribe. We have a huge giveaway coming up at 3,000. And most importantly, guys, check out our Discord, because we really are active there. We try to be active. Check out our Facebooks. We'll let you guys know on how we plan on countering this deck, because we don't really exist in like a bubble. We have to deal with Mystic Mine. Anyway, guys, thanks for checking out the video, guys. Huge shout out to our sponsor, Carta Magica, and huge shout out to all the boys, guys. That's the Blue from Ather Gaming, guys. Signing out.